Hello everybody. If your vent on your Jaguar MK is stuck, solid, or maybe it's just sticky and you want to know where to lubricate it, maybe you've even gone as far as I have and started to strip it all down and you still can't find the hinge, then maybe over the next few minutes we can get to the bottom of where it is and try and understand a bit more about how it all works. Okay, so essentially what we've got is a hole in the bulkhead which gets blocked off by this flap which is operated by the vent control lever. Bolted to the flap on the inside of the car are these two brackets which support the scuttle vent that you can see from the outside of the car. Now in this position, the scuttle vent is open and the inner flap is shut and sealed all the way around. So what happens is fresh air can come in here, flows down into this chamber, through the heater, and can be directed to the vents or the car. If you operate the lever, the pivot's on here, the opposite happens. The door in the car opens, and because the vent is bolted to it, that then follows and closes against the seal all the way around again on the scuttle to close this chamber off, and now it's in recirculation and the heater draws in air from inside the car. So I hope you'll start to understand why I did a little drawing. The reason is because even with all the dashboard stripped out, all you can see of the internal door is this very small piece of it here. So most of it is up here. And this is the door that we said closed off the hole in the bulkhead, which I can just about get my fingers through there. So as the old saying goes, there's nothing to see here. So let's have a look from the outside and see if we can shed any light on it. Now from the outside, the first thing you're going to have to do is to remove this grill. And this is fixed by 3 screws, one here and one on the other end and one in the middle. They're Phillips head screws and the chances are they're seized up. 2 of mine came out and 1 snapped off. What that'll allow you to do is to drop this mesh and let it fall, which will expose these 2 dear little studs. You will then be able to see those and get a spanner on them, and the chances are they will snap off. But at least that'll release this off of the 2 brackets that are connected to the internal door. There is also a little bit of mechanism, over center mechanism, to do with the levers, which you need to unhook from each end of the scuttle flap. Once you get the scuttle flap off, you'll be presented with this deflector, and after scraping a lot of the junk and rust off, you'll find that there's 3 screws, again 1 at each end and 1 in the middle. And what will probably happen is when you find that they're seized, as they will be, and you put a center punch on them and give them a tap, they will just fall through this gap, and I'll show you what they look like on the bench. So that's the 3 countersunk screws, and like I say, if you just tap them with a hammer, chances are they'll just give up the fight, no problem. So having dispensed with the 3 screws, you can then just lift this deflector out of the way. Then at least you can get down in there and hoover out the junk, but to be honest, you won't be much far forward on trying to locate the hinge. Now the reason I just can't really just leave this like this is because with this door stuck halfway between open and closed, I'm neither getting one or the other. I've got the worst of both worlds, because the recirculation is being mixed with fresh air, and the fresh air is being mixed with stale air. So neither recirculation or fresh air works, and you're just stuck with a blend of stale air going round and into the car. So one way or another, I really think this needs sorting out. So I went ahead and used my little camera and poked it either side of the scuttle from inside, and I was able to see the end of the piano hinge, and it's in that orientation. So I can tell you that the top of the hinge pin itself, sits directly below that position there, and like I say, it runs the whole length. It's made of just ordinary steel, so over the years, as if it ain't bad enough, with this sucking in wet air, it just rusts like crazy, and it's no wonder that they see solid. Now the reason this hinge is so hard to find and so difficult to sort out if it's seized up is because it's a piano type which runs the whole length of the scuttle vent. And if we look at this as an example of just a short section of it, what they did when they built the shell is they welded this side of the hinge to the bulkhead, and they welded the other side of the hinge to the door. And by the door I mean that flap there, the flap that's closing off the circulation hole. So with the best will in the world, you can't get the hinge out without chopping something out. Now I have seen a video on YouTube, I presume it's the only one, where the guy chopped this whole section out, this top section of the bulkhead. But even that is not straightforward, because this top section of the bulkhead turns 90 degrees and is then spot welded along here to form the structure in the scuttle. So you really are up against it when, like mine, your hinge is seized solid. So a decision's got to be made. Do I cut a slot in the top and try and tackle it from above? So now I've learned a bit more about these vent systems, there's no doubt in my mind that you need to tackle this at this stage of a restoration or recommissioning or maybe a paint color change, because like I say, if your vent flap is sticky or stiff, it's only going to get worse. So I'll get my thinking cap on and I'll post another video when I've chosen what I'm going to do. Until then, thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one.